careful. They might blow up. Yeah, yeah, back up.
I knew it. It wasn't. I knew it. It's a soft mode, not hard.
What happened? Just stopped?
Yeah, because I held the brakes. Whoa.
Wow. Fell and everything. Golly. Wow.
Alright guys, so I just came from a beautiful ride with my EXN. Heartbreaking like I normally do. Similar to what I did on the X20. Obviously it has more power than the KS20, sorry. So I'm not really worried about it. I know the limits of cutting it out. But yeah, this I have a new appreciation for Gotway wheels. I absolutely do. Gotway might not be good at a lot of things, but as I've always praised them in one area, and that is performance. And that's one thing they absolutely do not compromise on. Yeah, they had issues in the past with like thin gauge wires that would not be able to handle a lot of torque. But even then, I don't remember these wheels blowing up due to someone cutting out or due to someone requesting too much torque from the motor. You know what I mean? So this is the aftermath. It's probably been like maybe several hours after this event happened. Okay, I'm just chillaxing now, waiting for my bus to get back to Boston. It was a very short test. It was less than 10 minutes on the wheel, maybe less than 5 minutes from the time. It was definitely less than 5 minutes from the time I started riding it. So what I usually do with wheels, and I do this with every wheel. If you look at most of my actual reviews, that's what I do. I did it with the EXN, I did it with the Sherman, I did it with my 84 volt, did it with the Tesla. What I do with wheels is like I don't know how many points it is, but it's a few point inspection. What I do is I get on the wheel, I feel it. Feel the maneuverability. Is it a tire thing? Is it a weight thing? Number one, regarding the weight, I didn't feel any of that top heaviness at all. A lot of people said they felt it. I'm not sure if that has to do with how tall they are or how experienced they are with other wheels, but I didn't experience it. I did not experience the top heaviness. I did not feel the wheel want to throw me over left, or I didn't feel that at all. I was actually very shocked that I didn't experience any of that. Number two, the pads were very comfortable. However, if you attempt to jump, just off the bat without squeezing the wheel, you're gonna slip off because the groove, or at least the surface on the on the bottom part of the pads that's on top of your instep is kind of like at an angle. So when you go to jump without thinking, you slip off. Oh my gosh, I couldn't jump. What? Holy smokes. Did you see what happened? I got off the wheel. I didn't like that because I jumped the first time and I literally almost got off the wheel. Another thing I noticed was regarding the bushing, the rubber bushing that goes within the metal tracks. When I pushed, and I did this just by pushing down on the wheel with both my hands. I pushed down really hard on the wheel and I expected it to come back up real quick. It didn't, which is a good thing. Now that could be attributed to two things. One, the fact that Sean might have had it, the dampener settings, a certain way. I don't know how he had it, but he did explain to me that part of the reason they probably had it like that is to help with the dampening. So they don't want the shock to go smoothly, or the sliders to go with no friction down the tube, because that would cause too much springy behavior more like a pogo stick. So you don't want that. So what they did was they kind of added some type of resistance in there with those rubber type bushings to help with the dampener. And I liked it because I pushed it down with my hands and I was very shocked at the response of it coming back quite slowly. As far as the build quality is, I would say, an A+ for people who are just riding normally, not any type of hard off-road riding, not any type of hard on-road riding, because what I did notice was there was some cracks in the aluminum as well. So this part right here was made out of what? Some type of composite? Aluminum.
And as we would say, Chinesian.
Probably they should have made it out of this.
Yeah.
This is.
So the problem
this
is
looked
that,
like it's sheared off.
You can see this piece also.
Oh
cracked.
my goodness! I didn't even see that. Good point.
But it was a pretty high speed. It was like a 25 to 30 miles per hour crash.
You know,
so
Marty had said that a long time ago about the Hero when the Hero came out and he saw all the metal pieces and stuff like that. He was like, metal is that it breaks, it cracks or bends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And as you can see, what do you know what this is made of?
It's probably the same like aluminum material. I am kind of within, but at the same time, like, because this with metal, it's made out of like different pieces. So as a result, when one piece cracks, you just replace that piece. You know, versus like traditionally with Galway, like
yeah. You gotta replace the whole
shell is gone, and you have to find that whole piece.
So the mud guard is gone and everything as well.
Yeah, it is, I guess.
Yeah, he said, I guess.
No, just Paul had it, and then like before he got it, there was a piece. But
this part right here feels robust. Like this feels very strong.
Yeah.
This piece right. This is all probably aluminum, right?
Yeah, this is all aluminum.
Okay. But Sean pointed out to me the cracks. I didn't see it myself, but what I did see was that the front bumper was completely gone. And I'm not talking about just the plastic piece. The aluminum piece that connects to the wheel was actually sheared off. Both of them were completely sheared off. So, which tells you that the quality of product that they were using was really bad. Like, really bad. I'm not sure if that's going to be the final one, but whatever it was quite bad. As far as the suspension, I would say it's actually really good. I didn't have enough time with it to do a true examination of the quality and the performance of the suspension. But in either case, I don't know, it felt good to me. I don't know what to say. I really can't say much about that. As far as me thinking the wheel was huge, was wide, was tall, the overall dimensions of it, oh man, it was actually a lot more manageable than I thought. Interesting. So my first impression on this is it's not as big as I thought. I expected it to be like massive.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
from all the pictures, at least in terms of the length or the, I don't know what you call that, but it's actually not that huge. Interesting. It's tall, definitely tall. So at first, when I saw it on videos next to people, because what I try to do is try to judge it with my own If you look at this wheel right here, when I put my foot on it, the first thing I notice is that, you know, it comes up to pretty much like right here. You know what I mean? So pedals here, comes up to about right here. And I was kind of concerned that, you know, with the KS20 being so tall from what I assumed it would come up a little bit over here. And because it's so square, I thought maybe it would affect my maneuverability and stuff like that. I didn't experience that. The maneuverability was pretty good. That's the first thing I did actually off the line, was try to maneuver as much as I possibly could, and I actually liked that. The knobby tire was not as bad as I thought it would be. I was actually able to maneuver. Not as good, obviously, as a road tire, but actually very good. It's actually better than my EXN tire. That's interesting, unless that experience came from the fact that I rode the EXN the other day just to get used to it so that I'm prepared for the KS20. So that helped a lot. So the dimensions, very good. Very good dimensions. Love the dimensions. Better than I expected. More manageable than I expected. The size is overall just good. It's a very, it's a much smaller wheel than you would expect. Actually, it's a much smaller wheel than you would expect. Very, very compact, actually. Wow, I'm actually shocked about that. Now, in terms of riding, the overall feel for riding is that 3,300 watt motor has a lot to give, but whatever components Kingsong was using, plus the battery, is not really a good combination at all. Like, not at all. In fact, I'm not sure if it's just the battery or if it's the components that they're using. I'm not sure what kind of MOSFETs they're using, because what MOSFETs do, in short, is that they offer power from the battery. They take the power from the battery and ramp up the power from the battery and translates that power to the motor. And it needs to be, if they're claiming this motor to be a high performance motor, those MOSFETs needs to be able to handle a lot of load. And not just a lot of load initially. Yeah. So what's interesting is a lot of people did say that it didn't have a lot of torque off the line. That is kind of true. It's mostly true. Okay, so if you're an average rider and you're a moderate rider, you won't notice it. If you're someone who's a hard rider, you will notice it. It's that simple. Is it terrible? It's not terrible, but it's not what you would expect from, like, say, a Gotway, for example. It almost felt like the Sherman initially, because with the Sherman, and again, I've never ridden the Sherman with the street tire, so I can't be too objective on that. But either way, I felt that the motor could have a little bit more torque considering how big the motor is. I have no assumptions to say that the tire had anything to do with that. I think regardless of the tire, the motor should be able to perform considering its size, 3,300 watts. But what I didn't want to do was cut out going forward. So instead of pushing the wheel forward, I decided to go forward as hard as I could without cutting it out, and then pull it back, see how much power that motor could take braking. And apparently that was, on the first try, not good. Because the first try, what I did was, as I was going really fast, as you can see in the video, I left the guys. They weren't racing me anyway, but I was really trying to gun it. And I put the top speed at 47 because Sean said that he was able to reach 47. So I just put 46 or 47 or something like that. But the point is, I barely hit 40, barely. And what I did, it's the acceleration. So I got up there real fast, and then I jammed on the brakes once just to test it to see how much it could take, and then it slipped. The motor slipped, and I'm like, let me just do it again real quick. I did it again real quick. It slipped again, and then I heard a pop. And when I heard that pop, it reminded me of my high-speed MSP, like I stated before. This right here is the old board that was damaged due to me trying to take off the line too hard when I was trying to compare it with the torque MSP. This is the high-speed MSP, and this is what happened. I cut out because I guess this capacitor could not handle the current draw or voltage draw or whatever. But it popped, as you can see. And all the rest was history. The wheel went down. I even have a souvenir. Okay, let me show you. I have a souvenir. So this is the first piece that came off the wheel, and everything else turned black, charcoal, and this was the only piece left that was not touched by the flames. Whoa! Whoa. Shit. So I have it. So yeah, this is the story of the Kingsong. I like to go as far as saying a wheel is a performance wheel versus a wheel not being a performance wheel. Because if you promote a wheel as a performance wheel, even though performance is subjective to who is riding it, performance in general means hard riding. Okay, that's what it means. So it would have been terrible for someone in traffic to try to hold brakes because a car is cutting out in front of them, and then this happens. You see what I'm saying? Just think about that. Now, is it unique only to that wheel? I have no idea. I don't even think the motor had any issues. I just think the motor was not being used to its optimum potential. And I think, in my opinion, just on the surface, I think they used a lot of parts from the S18. That's just my opinion. I don't know. But it seems like what they did was they used a lot of components that was probably from the S18 and tried to scale it up with more motor and more battery. That's my assumption. I don't know. But yeah, this was the overall experience, guys. This was the overall review. That's my first initial impression of the wheel, is that it's not ready for prime time. It is not ready. The wheel should not be doing that. It's not ready. So if I were you, I would stay away from the Kingsong KS20 for a while. Let Kingsong and Jason figure out what they need to do. Unfortunately, I have no logs. All I have is the video that I have to review. And that's pretty much it. That's my assessment, guys. It's a great wheel. It's just not ready yet for the market. So that's my assessment. You make your own judgment. See you guys later. Thanks. Oh shoot!
Yeah, it flipped over and hit the engine. So be careful,
Dude,
because it might blow up. Yeah, back up. It's like
I knew it. It wasn't. I knew it. This is soft mode, not hard.
What happened? Just stop?
Yeah, because I held the brakes. Whoa. Shit. Yo, you alright?